Hey everyone, welcome to our re-recording of Act Step 10. This is our preamble. I had a little bit of a hiccup when recording it the first time, then recording it the second time. While I still have the full video for the second recording, it isn't exactly everything that I wanted to include. So I'm adding this little bonus video for the entire CEU event. So in order for you to receive full CEU credit, make sure that you've watched this part as well as the bulk of the series or the bulk of the episode so that you can get your full BACB credit for this one. So today we're talking about our step 10, which we're really addressing the core yearnings. I like to align the core yearnings with the functions of behavior because the four functions of behavior are still very much a part of our science. What I find that the core yearnings do for us is really help align our learning histories and the data that we have from our learning histories and how that goes through this operant conditioning process that essentially establishes sometimes these functions within our repertoire. This is something that we know from a basic part of our science. We have value altering effects. We also have behavioral altering effects. Some of these things also can ultimately affect the functions of our behavior. We know this. We know this through operant conditioning. We know this through histories of reinforcement and histories of punishment. So really what our core yearnings truly do for us is identify through these data points what could essentially have led to this being the function of our behavior. Most of the learners that we work with are not early intervention young kids. We have a tendency to, in our agency at ABA Across Environments, we have a lot of kids who are dismissed from previous ABA agencies or therapies because of their age, because of their size, because of the magnitude of their behavior. We then have these prepubescent students and learners who struggle sometimes to go beyond functional communication training. They can request what they need. They can demand for what they want. They can even sometimes tolerate the no, but it's not long lasting and it doesn't maintain. And I've never seen it generalize. So what we have found is that once we've addressed with the basic function of the behavior with the replacement behavior, there are usually more skills that have to be taught. But how do we know where to go? This does require understanding and assessing and evaluating not only the progress made and where plateaus occur, but also examining that learning history and the data that you're able to pull from there to quantify it so that then you can say, oh, here we go. So not only is it this function of behavior, it's also signaling this core yearning based on what I'm able to quantify here from the learning history data. Now, again, with this entire series, we practice this with ourselves first. So you're going to analyze your own learning histories. We've in previous lessons within this series gone through our self-assessment. If you want to do it again, I'm happy to share it with you. Or if you aren't sure what I'm talking about, please email me and I'm happy to give it to you. Our self-assessment is our assessment of our learning history. We then take that data and we figure out a way to best provide the supports that we need in our lives. Because here's what I know, is that if you're supporting your own personal life in a way that's healthy, proactive, values aligned, you'll then be able to model these behaviors for learners and others in your environment because you're practicing it every day. You're not expecting them to do it, but you're modeling it. You're making it available for them, right? But when it comes to addressing maybe replacement behaviors for students that we work with, we have to think about how are we best addressing this? Are we allowing the escape to happen simply because we don't know how to address it? And they manned it appropriately. And I want to reinforce that behavior. Meanwhile, mom's reporting every single night as a struggle because they're not doing anything that they need to do. And so mom starts yelling, dad starts yelling, caregiver starts yelling, child shuts down. Ultimately, we still reinforce that escape. So, how are we going to teach our children, our learners, students we work with, parents and caregivers, what it looks like to then meet a challenge and assent to that challenge with something that not only is function based, but also more radically addresses that function and the skills that are necessary to be taught to shape the behavior where we ultimately need it to be. Okay, so that is our series or that's our webinar for the 10th step in our series. And it's really exciting. We only have one left, and I'm very excited for everyone. Okay, so this right here is just one learning CEU. As usual, please send at least 3 takeaways per BACB ACE requirements that you've learned from this series. You can include something from this talk as well as the bulk of our presentation. Just make sure that you've included 3 takeaways and that you've watched the entirety of this presentation. Once you've done that, please email ace@acrossenvironments.com your BACB number and the event that you watched. Allow 2 weeks for that processing time kindly. I apologize if you're in a rush, but unfortunately, time marches on. Okay, everyone, happy learning.